YouTube, it's Maddie, the Empty Nest Scrapper. Welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you stopped by. If it's your first time, I hope you enjoy the content. And if you do, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. If you're returning, as always, I'm super glad you came back. So today I am going to do a first look kind of review for the brand new magnetic magic mat. If you saw my recent haul, you saw it was in there, and I was super excited. I ordered it as quick as I could, and let's take a look. So for those of you who didn't see my original video on the magic mat, I have it here for you. I'm going to show you what it looks like after a few years of use. I will be honest with you, since the time that I did that demo and review, I did pick up the Anna Griffin Impress, and that has really been my go-to for the last few months since the time that I got it. I love it. One of the reasons I love it is because it has an awesome magnetic mat, and the plates do not warp at all. And I have the mini one, which handles, I want to say, like 90% of my dies, but some of my dies are not able to go through, and so I still use the Gemini Junior from time to time. And if this magnetic mat works as well as the one on my little mini Impress, then I will be super pumped about that. I will give you a comparison. Now, this guy has been used, loved, abused, lots of cuts. I did try to clean it up for you guys. You can see it's relatively unwarped for the most part. I actually even have a brand new one of these that's been in waiting should I need it. Absolutely do use the heat tool to bring it back into shape from time to time. But this has made my Gemini Junior a great tool. Without it, not so much. So the original plates that came with the Gemini Junior is not something I used. And I think I even changed the sandwich a little bit since my first two videos. But here I want to show you side by side what these fellas look like together. Let's see if this is a better side by side. You can get the idea. I'm going to take a look this way. You can see the width of the magnetic mat to my eye looks slightly larger. We'll take a look and see. So I'm going to first use the tried and true unmagnetic magic mat just for a review, and I'll show you the sandwich that I have been using now. So here's the die that I'm going to be using. It is the Simon Hurley Snowflake die. So I believe it's called a cover plate because it covers an entire card front, and I chose it because it's relatively intricate. I thought I had to do a practice to see how that would work, and it worked just fine. Did the practice with this. This has not been tried yet, so you and I will take a look at that together. So this is the die I'm using. Now these I have on standby. These are the shims that I use for my Magic Mat, I make shims for all of my die cutting machines in case they are in order. And this is just a cut up Dollar Tree cutting mat. They work pretty well. And if they happen to wear out, you know, I get like 3 mats out of one cutting mat, and they're 2 for $1.25. So you do the math. It's not very pricey at all. So this is a 100-pound hammer mill, I believe, and I switched over to 100 pounds, so that required me switching up my sandwich. So I'll take you on a little tour of the sandwich that I like to use, and that has been working for me most recently. Now, the other sandwich worked just fine as well, but when I changed to the thicker cardstock, I needed to change up my sandwich. So this is a Sizzix plate. I did not have any luck with the Gemini plates, so I still have them for whatever they're worth. But this is the same Sizzix plate I started with on the recommendation of Debbie J, and completely unwarped. So that is a win for sure. Here's the other one, completely unwarped. A little cloudy maybe, but those 2 plates are perfectly usable, flat as can be, and I highly recommend them. Okay, so the sandwich that I use for 100 pounds, once I got that impress, I started using a magnet in my sandwich. So this magnet came in a die that I purchased. I don't know which company sent it to me, but I think it's Waffle Flour. And I was like, this is one hefty magnet. I know what I'm doing with that. So here's my magnet. So it's plate, magnet, die. So now it's stuck on really well. Plate, magnet, die. Now I do need a piece of washi for this because I want to cut into my Magic Mat. So I place that right over the die. The die's not going to move. Here's my washi. Here's my Magic Mat. Here's my second plate. So this is my current sandwich, and I'm just going to put that right on through the machine, and we'll see how the cutting goes and how the warping goes. The key is, how does the warping go? So I've had luck with this sandwich. It can be a little fiddly depending, but for the most part, this is the most intricate, larger die that I could find in my stash. It is a recent purchase, and as you can see, it came out quite well just a few minutes ago when I tried it before I turned on the camera to film for you. And going to remove that, remove this. Let's get rid of the washi and see what we've got following that sandwich. So first things first, does it cut well? Let me see if I have what I need to there. This is what I need. So this, I once had, this is a Sizzix brush, comes with this little cushion, and I once had it in a things I would never purchase again because I never remembered to use it. So somebody said to me in a comment in that video, well, why don't you pull it out? Because I had the same problem as you, and once I started using it, I found that I loved it. And this is, it does a pretty good job for the most part. Doesn't seem to be doing well here. But, but the pieces are cut all the way through, are coming out relatively easily. And we'll take a look at the plates after I punch all of these through. Because not only does it need to cut without a hitch, the plates need to be usable when you're through. So those two things have to be true in order for die cutting to be really successful. So everything is coming out pretty cleanly. You do have to punch them so they're not falling out or they're not stuck in the die. Got a few little guys left in there, but they've all cut. They've all cut. They just didn't fall out on their own. I still call that a win. If you like your pieces to all cut out, maybe that's not sufficient for you. For me, I'm cool with that, and I'm calling it a win. So there we are with the finished die cut piece. Everything cut all the way through. Let me let you have a better look there with a proper background. There you go. So that's the result for that. Let me make a little sweep here. Get all that static clean. Oh my goodness. Okay. So going to put that aside, and then we'll take a look at the plates and see what's what in that arena. So the cutting is a-okay on the original still, and just gonna look at the plates on the original, and then we see if we can figure out the proper sandwich for a heavier cardstock that many of us prefer to use. So here's the test one I did. Okay, so top plate looks pretty flat, and let's see that magic mat. I would say that's 90% flat. I see a little bit of a curve. I'm sure you can too, but it's certainly usable and easily remains flat. But the key is this. So these plates are completely flat, unblemished. Everything looks great. So now we have the magnetic magic mat. It's a little bit heavier. So what do? I believe we can remove this. We are no longer going to need our own makeshift magnet to fit in, and we are no longer going to need this because we are replacing it with this. So not sure if we are going to need a shim. So we're going to have to do our testing and find that out together. So right now I am just going to do a simple sandwich and see if that works for us. Let's move that aside so I can put this in a place where you can see properly. There. So I have Sizzix plate, magnetic magic mat, then I'm going to put my paper, then I'm going to put my die, and I can put that exactly where I want it because that magnet is holding solid. So just to show that, there. So this side is just your traditional magic mat. Let's get that piece off and put it right on that first Sizzix plate. Okay, next Sizzix plate, add it on, and let's push that baby through and see if it cuts. Ready? Oh, there's no pressure there. I believe I'm going to have to use a shim, but we'll look at it together. So, here we go. I'm going to try to lift them both so I can put it back in as is if it did not cut. And it did not cut at all. Nope. So, let's try again with one of my trusty, I can try it with the other magnet. Let's see if that's the right thickness. I think it'll spit it out if it's too thick. No, I'm nervous. Let's not. Let's just use a thin shim and see. If that doesn't work out, then I will switch to the magnet, which is a little bit thicker than the shim. Okay, let's try it again. Maybe the one shim is enough. Let's take a look. Let's take a look-see and see. Did that cut through? I can't tell really. Yes, it did. Okay. Right there. Just one little shim. I was looking for the magnet, but it was one little shim. And let's see. How clean did that cut? Not sure how well that cut. Let me see how well it comes out. I think I will try it with the magnet next. Seems a little bit tight. Seems tight. It did cut. You can see. But it's harder to get these pieces out. It is harder. Yes, it is. So let's try again. Let's try again because practice makes perfect. Let's try it with two shims. Two shims. 100-pound paper. Can you see? So it's the Sizzix mat, the Sizzix plate, magnetic mat, paper, die, two plastic shims, and a second plate. So, let's see. I hear that strain, and to me that says that is going to be a lovely cut. So I'm going to bring this out to prepare for the pieces coming out. And let's see how that, oh yeah, that is way, way better. You can see those pieces are falling out much more readily. So that's more of what I'm looking for. And those pieces are going to come out pretty easily. I think I will try it with the magnetic mat instead and see if I can simplify that sandwich for myself. Less mats, less worries, but let's see how the plates look right now because it did cut through. So top plate, pretty straight. Magnetic mat, flat. Bottom plate, flat. So, going to see if I have another piece of paper at the ready. Of course not. Of course I did not have enough paper at the ready. Let's cut a quick sheet and see if we can make it happen. And I do have also the Gemini plates. Maybe a thicker plate is in order, but those Gemini plates, in my experience, just bend so readily. I feel like it will bend my magic mat. I feel like it's just not a useful way to go. So just a quick cut for the thicker paper, and we're going to try to make use of all these panels at some point so that, oh, I cut that off. That's all right. That's all right. These are not exactly the right size, but we shall make do. It'll be fine. So we're going to do the same sandwich because I don't like to fight with my dies. If I can cut through and have less of a struggle. So let's move these shims aside and try the second magnet because I believe it is a tiny bit thicker. So this sandwich is Sizzix plate, magnetic mat, magnet. Is that the magnetic side? No. May as well use the magnetic side and keep it extra in place, and then one more plate. So these are two Sizzix plates, magnetic mat, die, paper, magnet, and here we go. All right, let's test it out and see. Sizzix plate, magnet, die with the paper. Here's my magic mat and my second plate. So let's take a look and see how well that cut. I think this is the winner. That's what I like. That's what I like. All right, that is the winning combination. So there it is. So I'm going to put this aside, punch these out off camera, and we'll take a look at our plates because that's the key. So top plate, flat. This is just a magnet. It's going to stay flat. Here's my magnetic magic mat. Excellent. Beautiful. And bottom plate. Yes. This is a win. For me, this is a win. So, if you have a Gemini and have been struggling with your sandwiches, I highly recommend a magic mat. Either the traditional magic mat, which has been absolutely super helpful in keeping these plates. These are the original plates that I purchased when I purchased this original magic mat. I think I replaced this once in a few years. And I have one in waiting that is brand spanking new. But I have never replaced these plates at all. I have another brand new one of these because they come in a set of two, and a brand new one of these if I choose to pull them out. This magnet, as I said, I got it with a die. If you have one hanging around that you think might fit the bill or might want to try, this is awesome. Now I'm going to check and see about the Gemini plates. Honestly, I don't have any use for them, so I can just check out if I still have them. They may have been so warped, it may have not been. Oh, you know what? Instead of this thing is just warpy doodle. This Milky Shim might be the same thickness as this magnet. So I'm gonna test that out because that might be something. Look at that warpity do. This might be something that you have in your stash and maybe can make the same sandwich. But I'm gonna check and see if I have Gemini plate that you might have. Let's see. All right. So, yeah, I didn't use these Gemini. I bought a replacement Gemini plates after they warped uncontrollably the first time around. Let's see. I think I repaired this one. So let's see if I use a Gemini plate, because you may have that in your stash that you bought as a replacement, and see if that's a little bit thicker and you don't need the magnet. I will be using that magnet. I think it cut perfectly, but you may not have that. So let's use a Gemini plate, that Milky Shim that is all warpy do, the magnetic Magic Mat, and one Sizzix plate. So let's see how that works out. I apologize, I don't have two Gemini plates. I guess the original just was unusable. So that's what we're going to try for you. And you get the gist. Oh, this is still all has to be picked out. But you get the gist. If you have more than one set of plates, if you have the two Gemini plates, they may work perfectly. I think they're a little bit thicker. The problem with those plates is they just warp uncontrollably for me in no time. I was so frustrated. I think I did not even was not even interested in replacing them after I saw a review from another crafter. I just decided to try the Sizzix plates that were recommended, and I haven't looked back. No need to. This is working well. The reason I have been using the little mini Impress is because I do have a tiny craft space. If you've seen my tours, you know there's not a bunch of room. And I do like to keep my die cutting machine right on my desk because that's what I love to do. Die cutting is my jam. So the teeny tiny machine works best for me. It fits almost everything that I want to do, and I love it. So I'm going to see if a different sandwich works. I am gonna, when I use this machine, I am gonna use that magnetic mat. I think it gave the perfect amount of pressure, and you'll get a feel on your machine what you think is a perfect amount of pressure. But let's see if this guy helps at all. Sorry this is taking so long. Just feel free to fast forward if you like. But I thought it might be more helpful for you guys if I had in my stash things that you might also have in your stash. Some of you may have the Sizzix. I did not. When I saw that tutorial, I did not already have a Sizzix in my stash. I actually ran out and ordered some from Amazon when I saw that review, and I'll tell you the truth, it worked great, and I'm very glad I did it. So let's put this aside. So just to review, what we're doing this time is Gemini plate, and this one is, you know, usable. Gemini plate, Milky Shim, that is warpy. I hope it fits through. Magnetic mat, you know what? This is so warpy. I hope it works. Okay, magnetic mat, Milky Shim, and then nope. Let's do it properly this time. Okay, here we go. Gemini plate, Milky Shim, magnetic mat. Ooh, it's so warpy, it spins. Okay, now we put our die right on top. Sizzix plate, and cross your fingers. Here we go. I think it's too thick. Yeah, it's not going. Let's reverse you. Okay. Yeah, it's too thick. Let's just try. Let's take out this warpy thing. Let's just try the Gemini plate, magnetic mat, Gemini plate, magnetic mat, paper, die, and this is a Sizzix plate. Let's see. That sounds about right. Okay, this should be trashed, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't look as bad, but it's so warpy that I feel like I don't want to risk the machine. Okay, that might have cut. Let's take a look and see. Looks like it cut through. Yes, it did. Okay, that'll work for you. And I promise you, from what I felt with the machine, I think you could go a hair thicker. So if you have 2 Gemini plates, I bet that'll work. So let's take a look. First off at the cut. Cut out beautifully. I will punch this out off screen. You don't need to watch that again. Just like watching paint dry. Okay, so let's take a look at our plates. This is my Sizzix. It always stays flat. Thank goodness. This is my magnetic mat. Pretty flat. Let's look at them together, see if we can see anything. Flat as can be. And here is the Gemini plate. Looks pretty good. Put it together. And there you have it. This is a little warpy, but I think that I can feel it. You can't really see it that much. I think that may have been from before times. So if you have 2 Gemini plates and a magnetic magic mat, I think you're in business, because that cut beautifully and this looks more than fine. So I hope that's been useful. I really hope that if you have a Gemini and are looking to use it and not turn around and buy another plate every 5 minutes, this is the product for you. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day, and until next time, bye-bye, YouTube.